as a photographer, guys, you probably know the term HDR, high dynamic range. Now what this means, you take a series of shots, so typically one shot underexposed, one shot overexposed, and one shot that is correctly exposed, and you merge them together to get shots like this. Now this is this type of style is not often accepted by photographers and is often looked at as overly done and just not a good image. So today, guys, I'm going to show you how to take a natural looking HDR, something like this, and turn it in, just take the photos in camera and use a simple tool in Lightroom and make an overall well-polished image in under 5 minutes, guys. So here we go, tutorial starting now. Roll the intro. Alright, guys, so this is my first location, rather more, it's actually my only location, and it's a typical real estate environment. I'm shooting at a house. I'm doing this for my portfolio. I'm not shooting this for anybody in particular. This is just a house I'm shooting for free, pretty much. And so yeah, so as you guys can see, as I pan the camera this way and that way, or as I pan the camera to the right, that inside is exposed for properly, but the outside, the view of the house is completely overexposed for, and that's not good. So if you're taking a picture and you want it to be kind of environmental, you want to show the sleeping arrangements, and you also want to show kind of the view and the panoramic you have from this room, you're going to want to take an HDR. Now an HDR is going to let me expose properly for the outside and inside, and then we can show, give a more emphasizing feel to the house, rather than just take a picture of the bed and say, here's where you sleep, and this is the view you get too. All right, let's show you how to take that. This is the back view of my camera here. So as you can see, this is the settings which the camera thinks best to take a picture of this room. So if I take a picture on the settings it is at 1/20th of a second, f4.5 and ISO 100, we're going to get a shot that looks like this. Now as you guys can see, it is exposed properly for the inside of the room, which would be down here, but the exterior and the windows are very, very bright and overexposed. So we could either quicken our shutter speed, so something to say 1/160th of a second, I guess, and we take a picture, and we have now a pretty decent exposure of the outside of the house. You can see the trees and stuff out there, but there's a problem now. Look at this. Like in the other shot, we can see the bed in here, but when we go to this shot, it's now dark. Now that we could either fix this with Lightroom by opening up the shadows, but we introduce a problem. That problem is noise, and it's not desirable. So in order to get rid of this noise, we're going to do something different. So in order to fix the problem which we're having here, we're going to take an HDR shot. So all this HDR talk is very simple. I've been talking a lot about HDR, but the rough idea is something like this. So we go to our shutter speed that exposes correctly for the room, in my case 1/120th of a second, and we take a picture. Now this is why it is important to have a tripod. Without moving anything, I'm going to take my exposure, I'm going to take it down to 1/10th of a second. Now I'm eyeballing this here, and I'm going to take another picture. Now here it is. These two shots, 1/120th of a second and 1/10th of a second, and we have a little bit of a difference. So we have a little bit more shadows that are coming out over here, down here underneath the bed, and on the ceiling. And this one, yeah. So we have the shadows now exposed for, and we have the large majority of the room exposed for in this shot. What we don't have exposed for now is the outside. So I'm going to crank my shutter speed to 1/250th of a second. I'm going to take another shot. Now everything, the f-stops and ISOs stay exactly the same. The only thing that's going to change here is your shutter speed. We're going to take a shot now, and now look at this. We have now exposed for the outside and the inside with these 3 shots, and now we can go to Lightroom and now edit this in Lightroom. So that's pretty much the rough idea of that method. Now there is one more way of doing this, and I'll show you how to do that right now. So the alternative way of doing this is using your ISO. For me, I have a 1/200th second of a shutter speed now and ISO 800. So if I take a shot, this example right out of the camera shot, here it is. So it looks very similar to our 1/120th second shot. except this has changed. So we have ISO 800 and 1/200th of a second. So what we're doing is we're raising the shutter speed and increasing ISO to get the same exact shot. So the interior is still exposed for, and the exterior is super bright. Now, by lowering or raising our ISO, we'll be able to either expose for the outside or shadows the same way we would be able to by increasing or lowering our shutter. Now, personally, I recommend doing the shutter method. However, if you want to raise or lower ISO, it's just as effective and works very similar. So I'm going to take my ISO down to 100 now. I'm going to take another shot at 1/200th of a second. Our shot is now very dark as opposed to our last shot on ISO 800, but it's going to give us an HDR look, and I'll show you what I mean in post. But our next shot is, now that we're at ISO 800 or ISO 100, we're going to go to ISO 1600 and take another shot. This time it's going to expose very much for the shadows. So now we're exposed for the shadows, the outside, and the correct exposure, and we can take this into Lightroom and make a natural looking HDR. This is Lightroom, guys. We're here once again. So what I'm going to do is, I've got all my photos imported here. I'm not going to have to find all the shots which are in HDR and merge them together. So I know that right here is an HDR shot, right here is part of an HDR shot, and right here is an HDR shot. So we can look at all these in unison, and here they are. So pretty much nothing changed in the photo. And it's all, you know, your a 3 series of HDR. You can always go more. You can do 5 shots, 6 shots. There's no limit to how many HDR shots you have, but 3 is pretty much a magic number, and it's hard to go wrong with that. Things you want to look out for when taking an HDR shot is moving fans. So I had to stop this fan so it doesn't move at all in between shots. And if there's anything else moving on the ground, like this curtain here for me, it was moving around, and I don't think it moved around in this shot, but you never know. Okay, so let's go ahead and evaluate each shot. It looks pretty good so far. You can see a little bit of movement in the fan of this one here. If you look like right in here, you can see a little bit of movement. Lightroom should do a pretty good job of that. So as you guys can see, oh yeah, my computer's freezing here. Okay, so this shot was taken on 1/120th of a second. This shot was taken 1/10th of a second. And this shot was taken 1/250th of a second. So by holding control and clicking on the series of shots here, so we have 3 here, we can then right click and we can hit photo merge. Now this is going to take, we can have 2 options here, HDR and panorama. And we're going to click HDR, and this is going to take all 3 of our shots or more shots, depending on how many shots you have. And it's going to align them into an HDR photograph. So let's wait here a second and see what it does. Alright guys, so the computer's finished merging these things into an HDR, and as you guys can see, this is what the HDR looks like without any auto tone. Now, the auto tone is something you do not want to have turned on if you're trying to come to a natural looking HDR. I'll show you what it does. It pretty much just makes it look super fishy, and I don't enjoy that look. So yeah, so this is just without any editing done, and we can hit merge here, and it's just going to auto line the layers, and it's going to merge it into an HDR. Alright guys, so my laptop has trudged through the mud, and it has finished exporting my HDR shot. Now if I ever get my mouse back here, I'll be able to click on this, and we can go into editing it. So although the computer has the option to edit it for you, as you see the auto tone, we're going to go over to the develop module here, and we're going to do some basic adjustments ourselves. So it's going to be very simple. Let's go ahead and do this. So obviously the first thing in HDR is dropping the highlights, as we don't want to have this super bright, washed out, overexposed area coming through here. We're just going to drop the highlights all the way down until we can see out there. So I'm going to drop them 100% just so I can see out there. And I'm going to have to set a white and black point. So by holding Alt, we can set a white point. This is going to add some contrast to the scene and make it look less flat. A little bit of black as well. And now open up the shadows a little bit. Okay, let's check out the whites and blacks again. Okay, there we go. Pretty good. The saturation on the red is a little bit too much for me, So we'll just drop the saturation of the whole image a little bit. Okay, -17 is good. And we can add, of course, a little bit of clarity, as rooms like this often look good with just a touch of clarity. So as you guys can see, look at this. By taking an HDR shot, we've been able to minimize the amount of noise in the shadow regions, like over here, and hopefully give us a better looking image overall in the end. Yeah, so one more thing here. This was our shot we did by raising and lowering the ISO. So check it out: ISO 800, ISO 100, and ISO 1600, and we're able to merge this HDR photograph right here. And so what else we have to do here is just take this one, click on here by hitting Control, and we can hit Sync Settings, and whatever I did to the other one will now paste into this one, and now we have the same looking image, this time with just raising the ISO, and there's literally no difference whatsoever between the two shots, except for this curtain looking just a little bit different. But I can always show you what that looks like in this compare view here. So this one is with the ISO raised, and this one is with the ISO at 100, and this one is with the ISO all over the place. So they look exactly the same, and that's pretty much the idea of shooting an HDR photograph. This is how to keep it looking natural without doing the over garbage HDR look, as you see a lot of photographers do. It drives me crazy. So this is my technique to creating clean, normal looking, very satisfying HDRs. Let's go back to the video. Alright guys, so I hope this tutorial was helpful for you. If you learned anything from it, go ahead and hit me up in the comments below. I always like reading your guys' comments. If you like this video, guys, go ahead and hit the thumbs up. And the best thing you could do, subscribe to me. I'm growing my channel faster than I thought possible, so your support is key here. Alright guys, so thanks for watching. My last video is up here, and I will see you next week. See you later guys. Peace out.